Okay, let's go ahead and set this game up. So I'm going to come up here and add an object, and I'll go ahead and take my CFC and I'll call it CFC1. And then let's go ahead and make sure that we're calling that program. Got it? You know the drill by now. This is all old hat to you. Okay, so what do we need? The first thing we know is that we've got a couple of buttons coming in. So let's go ahead and create those buttons. And I'm going to create those on rising triggers. So let's start off by creating those. R_TRIG. And this first one's going to be for my reset button, but I'll just go ahead and give that a generic name of ONS1. And let's bring our input in here. That's going to be our reset_BTN. That's a bool, perfect. And then the output for that, we'll go ahead and put here, and we'll just call that reset. We also know we've got a second button. I'm going to copy that and just pull that right over here. And instead of ONS1, we'll make that an ONS2. And instead of the reset button, that'll actually be our play button. That's the one that we're trying to see how many times we can press it. And I'll just call that play. Perfect. So now we've got our two buttons. We also know that we're going to need a game timer, and we know that we're going to need a counter. So let's go ahead and just create those big blocks. This is going to be our TON, and we'll call that game_timer. And we can also go ahead and set the time on that. So let's pull this right in here, and that'll be T#10S, because it's going to be a short little 10-second game. And then I'll pull in my CTU right here, and we'll call that CTU1 just to be simple, because we're not going to be referring to that. We're going to be referring to the tags that we bring off of it. So let's go ahead and bring our CV over here, and that's going to be score. And we want to go ahead and make sure that that's an DINT. Got it? And for a PV, let's go ahead and put something in there that we absolutely know we're never going to hit. There's no possible way we're going to hit that button back and forth in this environment 100 times. So that should be pretty safe. Now we have a reset property, and we already know what that's going to be. We're just going to use our reset that we've already created. Our Q property on this counter, we know we're never going to hit that 100, so we don't really have to worry about setting that with anything. But we do have something that energizes our counter, and our counter is going to be energized by play. So we've already got that. Let's go ahead and drop it in. There we go. So we've got our game counter already set up. We've got our buttons set up. Now we just need to manage our game timer. So I'm going to select all of this by dragging a box around it, and I'm just going to bring it down here kind of in space so that I can work with it clearly. Q is going to tell us that our game is over. So that's going to be game over, and that's a bool. Our elapsed time, we can go ahead and set that because we probably will use that, and that's going to be game time. And we want to make sure that that is time, not a bool. Perfect. And we need something that's going to energize this timer, and that's something we're going to have to manage. So we'll call this run game. And that will be a bool. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got the core elements of our game already created. The last thing that we need to do now is just put some control logic in here. So to control this timer, let's come up here and bring down a block, and this is going to be an AND block. So let's drop in our output here, copy our run game, and that's what this is going to enable. And what's going to run this game? Well, we're going to have two things. The first one is going to be true. True is always true, so that's always going to be enabled. And then the second thing is going to be that we do not have a reset. So let's go ahead and bring this down here, and I will call this not. And I'm going to wire that straight into our and then let's go ahead and put one input right there, and that's going to be our reset. So what this will do is once somebody presses reset, we will lose the run game input, and that's going to effectively reset our game timer. And the only other thing we've got is once the game expires, play is still going to be contributing to the counter, so we need to put something in between there to make sure that that doesn't happen. So I'm going to create one more and right here, and we're going to say that the property for that is going to be both a one shot coming off of our play button and our game running. So let's just move this right up here, and I'm going to wire that directly into Q. And then let's delete the play from here. And I don't just want to delete the name, I'd actually like to delete the whole control, so let's get rid of that. And I'm going to wire that straight into here. The other thing that I want to make sure of is that we're in run game. So let's copy this input and paste it down here. And let's bring that right up under here somewhere, and then we will wire that in. So as long as somebody pushes the play button while we're actually in a running game, then we're going to count up. Once somebody hits the reset button, we're going to reset our counter. Then we're also going to come up here and interrupt our running game. That's going to reset that timer and start that over again. So that right there should do it. That should give us a game. So let's go ahead and I will call that my draft. And when we come back, I will test it out to see if any of it actually works. And we'll find out how many times I can push a button in 10 seconds. That should be exciting. So I'll see you in the next.